All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here. Today we have a project called Genius. Very, very excited to have them back on with us today to give us an update. The last time we had them on was around, I think, over a year ago before they launched, and the project shot up. I mean, it was incredible to see. The team has been working very hard. I have been paying attention to the team and what they've been building over there as well. So very excited to hear updates from them. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Genius from the team. So Genius is a revolutionary blockchain that harnesses the untapped computing power of devices worldwide for process artificial intelligence and machine learning. Genius, pleasure to have you back on. For those that may not know you well, if you can go ahead and start out introducing yourself, talking about your team a bit, and give us some insight into your background. And I know you guys have an extensive background in your team.
Yeah, sure. Of course, Kenneth Hurley. I was in the game industry for a long time. I have 4.5 decades of experience in software development. I still do software development today, as you can see from any of the GitHub check-ins. I have a few in there from some of our repos. But in general, we're just, the team's pretty great. I have people all over the world. I'm the only one in California. We have two in Brazil, three in Brazil now, two in Mexico, one in Virginia, one in Ohio, type of thing, and then a bunch of people are admins and kind of marketing experts and things like that, in various areas, including Portland and the UK and all over the place. So some of them don't disclose where they are, but I know kind of sort of where they are over in Europe, but that's fine. But we have a team of about 15. And so you're right. We were last on here, I think, prior to us launching. We launched on March 8th of last year on 2024. And of course, we had, an exploit on the, not on our contracts, but on the bridging contracts that allowed them to over mint some tokens, which hit us pretty hard. And so we kind of backed off a little bit and said, okay, we're going to make this thing really, really secure so that can't happen again. And so it's taken us a little bit longer than we'd like to, but we've already put out testnet phase 1. But some of the other guys have worked, at Amex and some very big SaaS stuff. Me personally, I worked at Electronic Arts twice, or EA, as some people know it. Google for 4 years, NVIDIA for 4 years. This project is actually a culmination of my entire career, believe it or not, because in the game space, we can leverage games. In NVIDIA's GPUs, of course, it made me a GPU expert, so I was able to figure out how to leverage these unused GPU cycles. And then really in Google and Amazon both kind of helped. Amazon on Android experience, but Google, really, I was at Google Cloud, which was basically a infrastructure kind of education for me for 4 years there, which helped. But I had already been on Amazon AWS servers since 2013, but this got me up to speed on kind of the overlap between the different cloud-based systems and what some of their weaknesses were. And so that's why I decided to kind of disrupt their world with this decentralized GPU cloud.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that you have an extensive background, and I feel like all those experiences that you've had all leads up to the project that you're building now, which is the Genius AI, which is tap into the I guess untapped computing power and make it decentralized, for artificial intelligence and machine learning, which we all know that how big this industry where we're heading with that, I mean, it's huge. So before we go on, since you just mentioned about centralized GPU, so let's speak on that topic for a bit. What do you see the current problems with that with centralized GPU, like infrastructure like AWS, etc.? Like what are those? What are they facing? What are the problems that you see with those?
Well, so if anybody wants to see how I can predict the future, if you go to kennethhurley.com, and you'll see some of my blog posts over the years. I predicted Amazon would be the winner in 2013 on cloud stuff. I just looked through there. I predicted the demise of Google Glass and a bunch of others, And just go read my blog, because I know technology and I see the direction that things are going, right? And when you start to centralize the GPUs, the control gets into, the big boys' hands. And so what ends up happening is it's pretty much the antithesis of crypto, really, right? And when crypto started taking over GPUs and I started looking at it in 2016, I quickly realized, NVIDIA eventually will be in trouble when we get this decentralized GPU network working and everything works. And even about a year ago, I started saying that we're just building the infrastructure for it, because we know they're going to need it, right? We need to have the communications and access to the GPUs and uploading shaders and all that kind of stuff. But what ends up happening is last year I said, hey, look, we do not have to build the models, because Microsoft Research has been working on this for years, and Amazon Research and everybody else. So somebody is going to be able to put these models in a decentralized fashion. Well, guess what happened in December? DeepSeek did it. And so I was like, damn it, I didn't know it was going to be them. But I started thinking, I'm like, okay, well, I predicted somebody was going to do it. I couldn't nail who was going to do it. And one of the things I should have realized was, um, if Microsoft does it, or Amazon does it, or anybody else, or NVIDIA does it, they shoot themselves in the foot if they do DeepSeek kind of style LLMs, because the mixture of experts on LLMs on DeepSeek's data naturally fits with the decentralized version of GPU, using that to do a mixture of experts. So I can have like 6 experts on my phone. The guy next to me, next door, can have 6 experts on his phone. They can all talk to each other and basically do, a DeepSeek or a O3 type of LLM, large language model, at a fraction of the costs. And so what I'm thinking is, we might do something like $20 a year, or maybe even $5 a year. We still make a profit, because anything positive is a profit for us. And you have to realize that the other big decentralized GPUs and cloud-based AI systems. I mean, look, Elon just spent $6 billion to build up his cluster. $6 billion, right? We don't have to spend anything on the. That's called capital expenditures, by the way, in case people are wondering. And so that's where they're going to get disrupted. When you take something and you decentralize it, you have very little operating expenses too, because we build the network, and then, every once in a while we might have to fix something, or optimize it or something like that. But it's like a software defined GPU network, and it really is way more uh, beneficial, because you can move quickly too. Once you have it up and running, you can change stuff rapidly. Like if you had a problem in Google Cloud or something like that, it takes you a couple days, right? We could do it in 5 minutes. We can change something and go, okay, software's fixed, blah, blah, blah. So, and just so everybody knows, one thing I want to explain is how come I have this knack, or this ability to do this, because I started out in electrical engineering in the 80s at Oregon State University. And I actually dropped out. And the reason I dropped out of electrical engineering was because I taught myself computer programming. And I realized very quickly that they were using Fortran and tubes. And I was like, what the heck are they doing? Don't you see these new microchip things that are in these Apple IIs? These things are going to smoke you, and you guys are going to kind of go the way of the dinosaur. Sure enough, it's happened. I mean, have you heard about Fortran too much? Or, big tubes? I know they still have IBM mainframes of the government, but, you know, Elon's trying to upgrade them as well, just because they're like 25, 30 years behind the times. And that doesn't make you a leader in things. And so that's why I always look forward 10 years ahead. And I started this project about 8 years ago, and realized, okay, it's going to take us about 10 years to get critical mass. But when that happens, we're going to find somebody that has a good LLM model that we can roll into our system, and basically create like a chat GPT for $5 a year. We could charge 40 cents a year and still make money per person. So the DeepSeek thing was like freaking everybody out about AI. And I'm like, wow, yeah, it should for centralized AI. So anyway, I'll pause there. I know I'm kind of I'm passionate about that. But if you want to, follow my Twitter, and I'm pretty good at. I have like a 95% hit rate on predictions since 2010 or so on my blog. I haven't made any new ones, but I have done some on LinkedIn. A couple predictions um, that you can find in different places. I usually put them on X, and then I'll sometimes put them on my blog.
That's incredible. I say I do follow your X. We may have to start a poly market between you and I sometimes down the road there, but that's a different conversation. With 95% accurate rate, that's incredible. But man, yeah. So I think that's just a genius way. So yeah, I think what like you said there, Kenneth. I think I mean the way that you guys approaching this is actually genius, right? I guess hence the name. Uh,
Yeah,
because
what's
when you
funny
think
about
about
that
it,
is we have some
yeah, go ahead.
T-shirts, and it basically every time we get approached at the game developer conference or the Coinbase conferences or any of those conferences, crypto conferences, they we explain it. I explain it in 5 minutes, and everybody walks away, and they're just like, "It's just genius." And I say, "Do you want a shirt? You know what the shirt
It
says?
is.
It's just genius."
It is.
They
It
say
is
it
because when
first,
you
and
think
then I
about it,
offer them a shirt.
because when you think about it, the way you guys approach things is almost like the underlying, I guess, thing in crypto, right? That's it's literally the mission in crypto is like decentralization, right? POW, proof of work, etc. Right? You utilizing literally other people's devices, right? And this is exactly what you guys are doing. You guys are literally leveraging other every person's device and get that untapped power that they're not being utilized, which
Yeah,
is
and
like
there's other like BitTensor's doing it and Render's doing it for rendering. They're all in violation of my patent, which is fine, but they're still centralized because their servers are like high end NVIDIA, 2080s at home or on AWS. So they're still centralized. So they still have a bunch of costs, electricity costs and things like that. Yeah, so go ahead. I want to bring that in because there are other companies that have been doing this for a while, but my patent was issued, patent pending in 2019, and it got issued in 2022, and it basically is a
really,
DPIN. The whole patent is a DPIN, and
really,
so everybody's in
wow.
violation of my patent, by the way.
Oh man, really? Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
And we're
Now
made
let's
in the
say,
USA. We're made in the
yeah,
USA.
we're getting a USA topic. I'm actually very excited about projects that are made in USA as well with the recent with what Trump is doing. If he's going to implement it, that's going to give USA based project like yourself a huge advantage as well as for the investors as well. But let's talk about that later. So are you guys thinking about in regards to the patent violation of the patent now? Is that something that you guys think that you guys may pursue down the line or not
Yeah,
really? Or
I originally said no if they're going to contribute to the doing AI for good. I wouldn't hold them because we can use their nodes as well. They can install Genius on their nodes as well. So it doesn't really make sense for me to go after certain groups of them. But there was one. Andreessen Horowitz recently funded a company in 2023, gave them $43 million, and guess what they're trying to do? Exactly what we're doing.
wow,
And so
wow,
that I might go after because it's like, look, I do not want you to shut down Genius. Genius is to do AI for good. That's been the whole mantra for the whole entire 8 years now. It's not about the money. The money's going to flow tremendously because we're acting like a transaction network, like a Visa transaction network, but for AI processing or NFT processing for that matter. We just whatever transaction you can do on the blockchain, whether it's payments for the AI or NFT trades or token trades, we basically take a small percentage of that. So it's not like we're just basically building a big AI transaction, or not even AI. It's more than that. Like I said, you can do rendering, you can do NFT trades. We're just building a big old transaction network, albeit the underlying income is coming from people wanting to use AI.
and AI is the directions of that. So okay, so we talk about the problems that currently in the space right now, which is mainly all centralized, which is not very efficient, like you mentioned there. So having a platform like Genius here, where there's no centralized entity, right? So it's pretty much everybody's involved. So it's a lot more efficient. So we just talked about the problem now. Let's talk about where do you see, Kenneth, the directions of AI?
Well, I think it's going to it's on a hockey stick right now, upwards, and DeepSeek proved that back in December. They're trying to stifle some stuff coming out of China, but mainly that's proprietary stuff that's embedded. If they share it worldwide, I don't think the U.S. government can, start to fine the U.S. citizen for using, data that, because we have our own processing of that data, or, calls into that LLM. It's not like the LLM data can sit there and do anything to recreate itself. It's just data. It's just ones and zeros, unless it's actually running a program. It can't sit there and write to your maybe it could figure it out eventually. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. But in general, what I think is going to happen is the next 2 to 3 years is going to be this momentum that is just going to skyrocket. It's going to disrupt a lot of people. If you can't adopt it and use it, you're going to fall by the wayside. I use it all the time, and it increased my productivity by 10x. And I was already a 10x programmer. So now I'm like a 100x programmer. And so if you don't utilize it, you're going to get left behind. And, there's still going to be jobs, but you might have to go, fix somebody's pipes or clean their toilet or something. And so if you don't want to do that, your best bet is to figure out LLMs, how you can utilize them, be a very good prompt engineer, and just see where you can do stuff. And I don't think it's going to end up bad, really. I think it's going to end up where we realize, oh, we'll just let AI do it, and then I can just go fishing or something, right? And then the AI, my phone and the AI doing it will get paid, and that's what Genius does. And then I'll just go fishing, and the AI is doing everything for me, and my life's great because I can just go on vacation or go fishing or something. That's where I think it's going to end up in, like, 3 to 5 years. After that, the big thing that's going to happen is the quantum computers. That's just going to disrupt everything, and I hope that the U.S. government kind of keeps that under wraps for at least 10 years, because then it breaks all hell will break loose, because it can break encryption, it can do all kinds of things, and it's going to take quite a few qubits to do that. But I think they'll probably get there in another, probably 5 to 10 year time frame.
I agree. I mean, as we already see it today already, I think everything is going to be evolved around AI, like you said there. Everything is made to be more efficient. I love that you said 100x more faster. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I use AI almost every single day too, and I think we're going to see a lot of that. Just almost everyone, right? Everything's going to be involved in AI. So with that, I definitely see the future involved with AI. So now let's talk about the technicality of what are you guys are doing and how you guys are leveraging every single device out there to give that to I guess take the power out of the untapped usage of just idle power and sell those power. I mean, sell those computing power to companies to utilize. And how is that given back to the people who own their devices?
Yeah, sure. That's really all of our code. We have like 120 repos. It's all in C++. It has its own blockchain underneath, a really fast DAG blockchain that basically everybody joins, and they do it just like you used to. It's called P2P networking, peer-to-peer networking. And what that means is that when you come on your phone and you like install our wallet, or you're playing a game that has Genius embedded, you actually attach to our network. And then our network is sitting there monitoring or getting jobs that are, hey, I need this AI to be done for me. And I'll give you a really good example of one thing we realized with DeepSeek recently, and that I'm going to try to implement inside either its own app or inside our wallet, is that, let's say you're constantly using ChatGPT and you pay $20 a month, which I do. right? I don't want to go to 200 bucks a month. I don't think I need it, but the 20 bucks a month is good enough. Well, imagine if you could get exactly the same quality, but for $5 a year. So we can put a chat application inside of the phone that's the user interface, and then everybody that's connected to the network, I was talking about that mixture of experts before, can actually get paid. So when that $5 that you paid, right, will get doled out to everybody to basically give you unlimited tokens. That's the other thing. 20 bucks gives you limited tokens. We're thinking $5 a year or 20 bucks a year for unlimited tokens. So because you will never be able to do as many tokens as you want to on any device per hour, basically. So it's unlimited. It's like you can't get that many tokens out of the system, that you're going to overrun the system because we are decentralized. That's a big problem with things like OpenAI and ChatGPT. And in fact, you saw this when DeepSeek launched their user interface, and all the DeepSeek was on their servers. They had to shut down new signups from the USA because it overloaded their servers. We don't have that problem because we're decentralized, and so there's no single source of ability. There's no single source of what do you call that when denial of service, basically. There's no way to do that because everybody else, they're in peer-to-peer, you can't do denial of service because you're not involved in the communications of the peer-to-peer. You're only involved in the peers that you're talking to. You could, denial of service a few of the peers, of course, but in general, when that starts happening, or you stop communicating, it kicks you off and says, I'm sorry, but you're sending me too much data. I can't handle it. I'm gonna stop listening to you automatically. And so, that's kind of what we've tried to build in over the last 8 years, is the ability so that there was no single point of failure. And that requires complete decentralization, like even BitTensor and Render and all ChatGPT and even DeepSeek, when they launched their own centralized AI processing systems, have a single point of failure called their servers and their network. We don't have a single point of failure because everybody's, half of the thing could go offline and the other half would still operate without a problem talking to each other.
Right. Very, very important. So you're saying that every single person in the world can protect in the Genius platform in regards to computing power and be rewarded, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Yep. On your phone, we've made it cross-platform. It runs on iOS devices. We did phase one, testnet phase one. Windows wasn't quite working, and we're just about to release phase two, and Windows is now working. So we're on Windows, Linux, Mac OS X, Android, and iPhone. And all that is required is that you will download our wallet or you'll be playing a game. That's the other thing that we introduced that nobody else has done. And that's the ability for us to leverage the GPU while you're playing a game. Then you will get paid out in-game tokens, as long as they're linked to our SDK. And so if you think about that, nobody else is doing that. Because our network is so fast and it's all peer-to-peer, we have the ability to operate, as our own blockchain and do the transactions behind the scenes while you're playing a game, where we're not going to a centralized server that may take like 8 minutes for a transaction to happen, or even if it's 30 seconds. Ours are like sub 200 milliseconds.
That is incredible. So I want to recap that in a little bit here. So what would you say right now, Kenneth, that like let's say I own a laptop, I own a device, my cell phone. Like what do you say that like percent of that untapped or the idle percent of the time the GPU is not being utilized? Or have you guys looked into that, and what you said that would be?
Yeah, so on a AAA game on your iPhone, a AAA game where they're using a lot of graphics, it's only using 50%. That's because Apple and Google have optimized with something called Metal and Vulkan to basically optimize for battery life. And in general, we are not going to come to you and take a big slice, and you're not going to make tons of money because you have a more powerful laptop than somebody else. That's the nature of decentralization, is that, I'm sorry, but we're only going to tap, if you have a high-end 2280, we're only going to tap 1% of it. If you have an iPhone, we may tap 10% of it. But everybody's going to get paid the same, contributing to the network, because that reduces the points of failure, by the way.
Very true. Yeah, very true. So it cannot be manipulated as well. Yeah, that's actually very genius. I think it's
I was just going to
necessary.
say, it's kind of necessary. And the second part of that is, when we launched, we decided we weren't going to touch the CPU, because there's a lot of bit tensor and all that. You have to put Docker images on there and all kinds of stuff. Well, that's a big security risk, where the GPU doesn't have access to anything but its own memory, really, and the graphics output. But can't do anything with that. It doesn't have access to your internet. Doesn't have access to your hard drive or your storage on your phone. Doesn't have access to the CPU, really. So you upload the code that we have, uploads it into the GPU, executes all the AI, turns around, pulls it back out, and then it sends it to the internet. But we're not leveraging the architecture does not leverage your CPU, where somebody could come in and do some kind of weird AI shader or something, or a Docker image, and then take over those machines, right? So we also decided we weren't going to do that. We may in the future have them let some, like BitTensor, leverage that kind of stuff using the Genius token instead of their own token, or we might have some swap between them. I don't know. It is needed by some of the enterprise companies, because they want to be able to serve their websites and do databases and things like that. Well, we don't do that, really. And so, but there's no reason that we can't easily integrate one of their systems, who are already violating our patent anyway. Just so you know, the patent is called a compute infrastructure with a crypto token payment system. And so that's the title of the patent. If you go look
That's
that
pretty much
up,
everything. That's pretty much covers everything.
Pretty much everything. Yeah, it's all deep in. And in fact, if you go look at the first image in the patent, when you look it up, that is a DPIN. And I didn't know what DPIN
Huh.
meant up until about a year and a half ago. And I was explaining my architecture to somebody, and they're like, "Oh, did you know you're a DPIN?" I said, "No." What is that? And so I had to go look it up. Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. What did I just describe? A decentralized physical infrastructure network.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the title, it pretty much covers everything there. Okay, so right now, what you're saying is, Kenneth, right now, like most of the people who are listening right now, they all have a device that's listening to this AMA. A large percent of that, it's just pretty much sitting, the GPU is not being utilized. So right now, every person in here can literally get paid through the Genius token if they download it or to connect the device to the wallet, correct?
That is correct. Or if they're playing a game that we've released, one game that we're going to modify a little bit, but if you're playing that game, while you're playing that game, it's paying you in those in-game tokens, but those in-game tokens can be converted to Genius and then to Ethereum and then to fiat. So
Right,
they're
right.
child tokens. So on top of it, I want to make sure people are clear that the longer you hold the token, the more it's going to increase, because we built in a burn mechanism, so that every time an AI cycle happens and we go through a set of our Genius tokens, that set of Genius tokens is reduced by 10%. That means the remaining 90% holders. So let's say it was not $10, and we took out $10, and we had 100,000 tokens out there. We took out 10,000 tokens. That means the other 90,000 tokens now is valued at $100,000. That increases your price by 11.1%. So the longer you hold them, so if you just sit on them, right, and you don't offer your device up or anything like that, you just hold them, it's almost like staking, but it's not staking. It's kind of more of a reward system for use of the AI, right, for doing AI for good. What it is the longer you hold it, the more the price is going to increase, or should increase, because of, and we did a Monte Carlo analysis on this. We pushed that out. We've done a lot of AMAs on that. So if anybody wants to check that out, you can check that out. We've talked about it quite a bit.
Okay, so okay, you know what? Let's get into that. No, actually, you know what? Before we go into deeper into the burning mechanism of there, I'd like to go ahead and touch on more in regards to what you say there. So right now, if you're a gamer right now, so if I go into your website, play one of the games that you guys put out, I can still enjoy the games that I play, except for that I'm being paid through the Genius token at the same time. Correct?
Yeah,
Now,
or the
right,
in-game
because
token.
the in-game tokens. The in-game tokens meaning whatever the game is, right? So
Yeah,
now you are incentivizing game developers to come into the platform and develop games. So that means is that automatically they have pretty much a utility right out the gate.
yeah.
I mean that
Well,
is
we went to the Game Developers Conference last year, and we had 2,000 developers sign up for this, and they said, "When's it going to be ready?" Because a little statistics for you on the Apple App Store alone, there's about 1.8 million applications, and there's 480,000 games, and 96.5% of those games do not make any money for the game developer through advertising or anything else. They make $0. So now they can link to Genius. They can sit there and get paid out in their in-game token, or the user can get paid out in their in-game token. They can offer them in-game items for their in-game token, turn around and take the whole entire batch of in-game tokens, convert those to Genius because they're child tokens, and then turn around and convert those to fiat currencies. And so we did some math on that. And if somebody had 1 million users, it's not a lot, but but every single user that's playing your game is being monetized. Whereas, the problem with the previous way is, you have to get people to watch ads, and they don't like that. Or you have to get people to, be the whales and buy to get past something, or wait 5 minutes. And it just makes crappy games. And so I decided about 3 or 4 years ago that I was going to integrate this into games where you no longer have to worry about making a crappy game anymore. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody.
it does make sense. It's actually yeah, I mean it's the game. I mean you guys are tapping into the gaming industry as well. That's a huge industry. So now developers, how easy it is to I guess install your SDK or the software development kit? Like how easy for you guys to onboard a game development company or a developer in general?
Well, we call it negative friction monetization. And originally, zero friction. And the zero friction is you link to our SDK, and that's it. And a link
That's
is
it.
the whole process in combining all the files that you've coded together. And in fact, if you make a Unity game, it'll do it for you automatically. When you create a Unity game and you say compile the game, you just add our SDK in there, and then it'll compile internally into the Unity SDK. Works on Unreal too. A little more complicated on Unreal, but not too much. And so the reason we call it negative friction, because that was zero friction, pretty much. I've been a game developer for many years. You can go look on kennethhurley.com or Moby Games. Look me up on Moby Games. You'll see I have like 20 games on my resume, or 33, of which 20 I've coded on. So since the 80s. But anyway, you can look me up there, but you'll know that when everybody else was doing this, I'm like, they're crazy. They want Immutable X wants me to spend 2 to 3 man weeks or man resources to go and try to figure out how to integrate with their blockchain, and what's it going to gain me. I have to now figure out how to marry my in-game economics with their economics so that I can try to make money off that. That is an uphill battle, and very, very few of the games do that. And if you're an indie developer, you don't have time to do that. So I was like, okay, let's make it zero friction for them. They just link, they create a form, or they go to a form and they say, hey, I want to create my token for my game or my game company. And if you create it for the game company, then you can have a in-game token as a child token of that. So it's very hierarchical. And you can say, I want this token on your smart contract. That's the Genius smart contract. And so every time somebody's playing that game and they're doing AI, Genius is actually increasing as well because of the NFT trades or the in-game trades, because we take a percentage of that as well, because we are the root or the reserve currency of our smart contract. But what it does is it gives the ability for people just to have another monetization channel and not have to figure out what blockchain is. That was my main goal, because being a developer myself, I knew that that was way too much work for most of the games. And if you think about it, if 440,000 of the games on the Apple App Store, that doesn't count the Google App Store, are not making money, they're not going to go spend a bunch of more money trying to figure out how to integrate ads again, or they could just pull their game, link to our SDK, and put it back up there, and they start monetizing every single player. That's how easy it is.
Wow.
And that's why we
Wow.
call it negative friction, because we took out the need for you to do advertising and the need for you to find paid players, because every single player is a paid player, really.
Right. Right. Wow. That's actually incredible. That's actually incredible when you think about it, actually. So now you have all these games that's not being monetized or do not have any kind of incentive for players to come on and play the game. And this can be a selling point for them. And all they have to do is just plug in your SDK and bam. Now the players get paid to play their games. And you know, a little kickback for the dev as well. And but then at the
Yeah.
same time, you are monetizing, you are leveraging their idling, which is around 50% of the computing power that's not being utilized. Genius.
Well, yeah. So let me talk about that. So just so you know, because I worked at NVIDIA for 4 years, I know how GPUs operate down to the hardware level. I was in there with the driver team, and I was helping people uh, optimize the GPU and stuff like that. So that 50% is only on AAA games. Now you take something like a 2D game, a
Really?
shoot 'em up or something like that, they're only using like 10
Yeah.
to 15% of the GPU.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow. So 50% is only used only. Oh, wow. Only AAA games only, huh? Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, very graphics intense games,
Yeah.
that type of thing use a huge amount, up to 50%.
Hmm. So I mean, evidently, obviously, you have something here, Kenneth. I think this is actually a very genius idea to be able to tap into GPU that's not being used, you know, for AI processing in its most decentralized manner like this, where everybody can participate, which is crazy. Now, how many games to date do you have right now? And I guess when I look at this platform, I think the product, I mean, the idea, the product, everything is there already. But I think the hardship would be the marketing, right? The marketing, how to get your name out there. Like, hey, here's the Genius platform. If you have a game, come on board with us. Let's talk about that. What are you guys doing to get this platform out there?
So, yeah, I'm on, hold on one second. Um, the best, believe it or not, we went to the Game Developers Conference back in March of last year, and we got 2,000 subscribers. And we actually have to start beating people off with sticks. So, believe it or not. As soon as the word got around, everybody's coming to us. Hey, when's it going to be ready? So we don't have any marketing, really. We're not going to have any marketing because we don't need it. We already have a internet service provider in the Philippines that has 200,000 nodes that wants to use our system as well. And there's these little set-top boxes that have GPUs on them, and so while you're streaming, you can actually earn money as well while you're watching videos and things like that. In the background, we'll just use your GPU. And so that's 200,000 AI nodes and 200,000 experts that can contribute to like a chat GPT type of thing. And so the second part of that is this relieves the game developer for doing any marketing to find paid players, but he still has to maybe do some marketing to find just players and all that. And usually, if you have a great game that doesn't have the stigma of, being not fun because you have to watch ads or you have to do this, the word's going to get around really quickly. Even if they only have, if you realize there's 440,000 games, if each one of those only have 10 players online at any given time, that's 4.4 million nodes. just on the Apple App Store, by the way. So, you know, we're going to the Game Developers Conference again this year with Graffiti, and Graffiti has 100 games, and we have another Webfoot Technologies that has about another 100 games. And we just got the rights. Graffiti got the rights, which is another company I started a while back. Got the rights for a very good book series that basically is kind of a fantasy book series, but there was somebody that wanted to make a movie on it about 10 years ago, but the author had died, but we got the rights from his family for it. And so that's going to be a huge franchise for us to embed GNUS.AI into those games and to those streaming services. On top of it, the other thing that I've been kind of contemplating is over the next 2 to 3 weeks is why don't I just build, like I said, a GPT, I'll call it Chat Genius app, right? Not hard to build an app, and then it will leverage all of the devices that are online, that are online in phase 2 of our testnet. And while it's doing that, everybody will get paid out in testnet tokens. Well, guess what? I plan on converting those testnet tokens to real world tokens by hand or manually. And the reason we're doing that is just to make sure our network is secure so that somebody can't hack the system. But I could launch that Chat Genius app, have it just be like Chat GPT on your phone or on your computer, and basically get a full LLM for like $5 a year, unlimited tokens. And how fast did DeepSeek skyrocket in the news when they launched theirs? Just think about that. And now we're going to offer, their only downfall, like I said, was they had centralized servers that were serving the LLM data model.
Yeah, I mean that'll be huge. Yeah, so I think you guys go into these game development conferences, and I think that's a great way to onboard these developers coming in or games coming on board. Yeah, I mean this is when I think about this, man, it's massive. It's massive.
Well, if you
Now,
think about it too, we can launch our games on Fire TVs, for instance, right? Fire
right,
TV has a game console. You can actually put our wallet on an Xbox. If you put it into developers mode, you can put the wallet on an Xbox and have your Xbox serving GPU time. Hopefully, one of these days we'll get the, Microsoft or Sony to allow us, or even Nintendo to allow us to write games for free, but they're going to use a GPU on your device while you're playing the game, so that we can do AI for good.
right.
Hopefully
So for
that'll
those that are
happen.
listening to the AMA guys, oh, go ahead, Kenneth.
No, I was just going to say I don't have any delusions that Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo are ever going to let us do that, though.
Right. But for those that just came in late, guys, if you guys are enjoying what you hear, so Kenneth is not just another ordinary person, man. He came from an extensive background. So I encourage everyone to go check out the website. He also has a LinkedIn. I mean, he worked for NVIDIA, I think Google, I believe Microsoft as well, right? I mean,
No, not
you
Microsoft, Amazon.
Amazon. I mean, how long have you been in the tech industry?
I'm going to age myself 4.5 decades.
What do you say? 4 decades?
4.5 decades.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So that's 45 years, guys. That's 45 years.
So I
So,
wrote
oh
the
man.
page for the IBM PC in 1985.
Wow, that's
And
incredible,
then
guys. So,
I wrote some stuff before that on the Apple II. So yeah, I've been around for a while.
I always tell my community when I do an AMA, I always invest in the team, right? The people who behind the project, right? And I think this is not only a great idea that can actually penetrate a lot of different industry, right? And there's so many industries when you talk about AI computing, right? AI in general. I mean, this can tap into a lot of different industries out there, and it's actually
Well,
a very genius way. Go ahead,
let me
Kenneth.
correct you on one thing. Not could, will. It will. It is. That's why I've been. Nothing's going to
Will,
stop this
yeah,
freight train.
like it's
The freight
imminent, about to
train
happen.
is great, but it's my main goal is to do AI for good in decentralized fashion and bring this out. You think if Ethereum ever thought that that they were always worried about the money, that they would have never, or Satoshi, putting his paper about Bitcoin was really worried about how much money he could make. He was there to disrupt, and that's what I tell people. We're not competing with anybody. We're disrupting everybody.
I mean, I can see it. I can see it. I mean, I can see it definitely disrupting, especially when you have a patent in place already. Is this not? This is a utility patent, guys. So it's not a non-provisional patent, right? This is an actual utility patent. So this is,
Yep, yep. Issued in
yeah.
2022. And what's nice about it is that kept us from actually being under the probably, hopefully, squelch any looking into us from the SEC and Gensler during his term and trying to squelch all these projects. And so we just kind of went stealth because, I was waiting for the new crypto friendly administration to come in. But we were pretty safe anyway because it's a utility patent. And so one of the things about a security is it doesn't have utility. That's what commodities are. And we also failed two other parts of it in that I did not raise money or very little money, and most of it was mine anyway from the community, my own personal money. And I funded the project for at least 7 years by myself. And I turned around and when we had like an offering, I was the biggest donor in the community too. So I didn't raise really any money to do this project.
Wow. Wow. Actually, I was going to ask you guys, like, how long has has the project been in development, and how were you guys able to get the funds? So, but you funded the project, so you really, really, really believe in this mission.
Yeah, and if you go look, like I said, go look at KennethHurley.com on the blog and see some of my predictions, and look on X. I made a post on LinkedIn too about DeepSeek back in December, right? And I was saying that Elon Musk is. I like Elon Musk. He's a smart guy, but I think he's making some mistakes with trying to centralize 100,000 GPUs and raising 6 billion to do that. Who knows? Maybe there will be some use with the government. I think for those GPUs to keep everything not centralized so that they have security and things like that. So maybe it is
I feel like
okay
the
for him.
centralization is old news. I think that's old
Yeah.
news. It has a point of failure. So yeah, I think
Well,
that's old way of
Bitcoin,
doing things.
Bitcoin started it. That's decentralized money, right? Now the next
Right,
step is decentralized AI, truly decentralized AI, though.
right, right. And I feel like it needs to be like we have to head to that direction, this decentralization. Well, genius. I mean, I really like the idea. I love the mission, and you're a very intelligent guy, like very intelligent. So, yeah, I think this is incredible. I've been talking about this product, this your project in my private groups and for days now. And since you guys, I've been following you guys for a very long time. I think the idea is massive. I believe that it's actually way undervalued, to be honest with you. Now, let me ask you this though, Kenneth, how many games today? Because I remember the last time you came in here, and I believe that you were able to get some game development companies on board. So
Yeah.
currently right now, how many games do we have right now?
Well, we only have one game right now because we're still in testnet, and as soon as we release phase two, then we'll start onboarding. And like I said, it's zero friction, so the onboarding process for them to integrate is probably less than 30 minutes. So
Okay, and the phase two, what is the slated date for that? Do you think?
we were trying to get it out today, actually. We found a couple of memory leaks that we're fixing right now. So by early next week, phase two should come out.
So phase two, games developers can go ahead and install your SDK, software development kit, and they automatically
Mm-hmm.
they can, I guess, incentivize the users or have some sort of revenue coming for the users as well. So around next week, correct?
Well, yes, sort of. I prefer that it's on mainnet so that it's all automatic. But game
Okay.
developers, I just don't know if Apple will allow that. But some game developers can do that. Sit there and play my game for free, and you'll get monetized on the testnet, which again can be converted to mainnet tokens. Just we do it manually so that there's no hacks can happen. But yeah, in general, they can link to our SDK on the testnet side of things and spin it up. We do that right now with a shoot 'em up that are phase one testers have been playing and they love it.
Okay. Okay. So one more question. So right now, it looks like you mentioned there's a huge percent of the games on apps right now is not being monetized, right?
Yeah.
Uh, what about the Web3 games? So let's say most of the Web3 games, they do have incentives for the players. If they were to install your SDK into the Web3 game, whatever they're building, with their current incentives, whatever it is, does that affect the game at all, or just this is like an additional thing for the game?
Well, are you talking about games that you play in your browser?
Yeah, yeah, games in the browser, and
Yeah,
because
we
right now
don't
I'm
really support that yet. We're working on it,
okay,
and maybe we'll support that in the future. But these have to be downloaded apps. Think
okay,
about, yeah, it would have to be a downloaded app on your iPhone or your Android or your Mac or your Linux box or your PC, your Windows PC. Yeah,
okay.
you can't. We don't integrate with online games. It's a little scary actually to me because then people can start hacking you and all that. But we do have a prototype up that does do that, but I don't know that that's ever going to come to fruition because that's just not our target developers at all.
Right, right. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Kenneth, I mean, this is I look forward to see the development of this. You guys been working. I mean, I know you've been working for a very long time with funding everything on your own as well. And I think you guys came back on the first AMA that we had with you guys was back in March last year. And now it's been a year, and you're still working hard at it. Uh, Phase two is rolling out. Very excited to see that. I have nothing bad to say about the project. I actually love the idea. I love the project. I love the mission. I think this can be something here. Not only that, the project is a great idea, and it's tap into a big industries out there, but it actually has a patent, guys. So I mean, if you're looking for a legit project, I'm not sure if it is any more legit than this. And looking at Kenneth's background, that's incredible. I do have some money in here. Looking at the market cap right now, it's actually very low if you ask me. Not financial advice, but I'm planning to invest a little more into the company for sure.
Well, you know why it went low is because all the meme coins that were coming out and people doing, getting into the Ponzi scheme, and most 99% of those people lose their money, and only a certain set of
Still,
them make money. And I will never do that. I will never set up a Ponzi scheme or do a meme coin or invest in a meme coin because you have to have real world uses. I'm not doing this just to make money. I want this to cure cancer and shit like that.
yeah, they do lose all the money. If you go invest in meme coins, guys, I think that phase is gonna go away. It's a gamble. It's to know probably know some
Yeah.
game or negative some game, right? If I win, you have to lose. And so yeah, so people win, they rotate into the lose everything, and it's just I think the phase will go away. I think
No, it
the
will.
utility.
I started a public company back in 2005 called Signature Devices, and I saw the same thing happen where people would come in with non-real companies, pump and dump their stock and stuff like that. So this is not my first time to this rodeo. So it bothers me in the fact that I wish people would just realize what it is and not lose all their money. I feel bad for them, but they're gamblers. I can't help them. I can't cure them of their gambling.
Yeah, unfortunately, the space, this is like the quickest way to enter the market now, right? A lot of retail investors come in, they don't really know much about the technicality about like a utility project or, POW, proof of work, proof of stake, all that stuff is very hard, right? So the best way to enter the market is through a meme token, and that's what we're seeing right now. Unfortunately, they all will learn a very hard way, which is crazy. It sucks. But yeah, 98% or 99% of coins launch on Pump Fund. I'm not sure that is, Kenneth, but it's a
Yeah.
platform that you can launch a meme token very easily with like, $10. And so I looked into it. There are over 10,000 coins launched a day.
Jeez.
A day, and I think 99.9% of those are rugs, uh,
Yep.
scams. I mean, it's just incredible, and somehow we at the place where we foster that environment, which is unbelievable. But I think
Yeah.
projects like yours,
Imagine going to Las Vegas and going to a slot machine and losing
yeah,
99% of the time. They're better than us.
100%,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Well, Kenneth, I hope you feel better. I really like your project, Kenneth. If there's anything that I can help with the project, let me know. I'm very connected in the space as well. So this is actually one of the projects that I really like. I see the vision of this project. I see how it can make the impact as well. And, it's decentralization. And that's literally the fundamentals of the blockchain is decentralization. And so I like what you do over there. So let me know if there's anything I can help you with.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You have a couple hands up for questions. I don't know if you want to take them or you want to have them go to
Yeah, let
the
me go
Telegram.
ahead and unmute. Yeah, unmute CH here and Israel. And I think we do have a bunch of questions in the room too. So let me go back to the room and see if we can pick a few questions here. There's like, I don't know, 50 questions in here. Let me see here.
Well, feel free to come over to our Telegram group, and I have a army of admins, and we'll get in there as engineers and answer questions. I'm in there sometimes, and I'll answer questions. So you can also look at Docs, DOCS .GNUS.AI. Gives a bunch of information on the whole system.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. So, guys, I just unmuted a few of you guys there with your hands raised. Go ahead and ask away. But I'm going to go through the questions in the room here. Let's see here. So the first one from Raymond Seed. He says, how does Genius AI ensure the security and privacies of data processed on its decentralized network, especially when utilizing idle computing power for diverse devices? So I guess, yeah,
Well, so naturally, because it's decentralized, we split up it's like here's a good analogy. If you take a beach and you send not a grain of sand, but you send a component like whatever carbon or something of the sand to a device, that's almost like encryption. And that's what we do is we basically send in these jobs and these micro jobs and they're all split up all over the place based on locality. And so really no one device has the whole picture. And so that's kind of built in for security, but also we do have some privacy preserving stuff for the transactions for security, if that was part of his question. But there's no reason that basically uses ZK snarks to secure the transactions. Basically, that's the last part that we were working on recently. But in general, if you wanted to run um, a AI processing job on our system, you can do encrypted AI. We don't control that. You do. You basically give us a shader, and there's homomorphic encryption that can happen on AI in a shader, and we dole that out to everybody. But you also have to realize that beyond that, they're only getting like 1/100th or 1/1000th of the encryption anyway. So they're not going to even be able to decrypt it anyway. They just run it locally. It stays encrypted. They shove it back to you, and then you decrypt it on your side. So, but that's really above us because we're just the infrastructure. You can do whatever you want on the AI shaders.
yeah. So ZK snarks is actually yeah, I'm actually it's actually very it's a good protocol to use because it doesn't really reveal all the I guess sensitive data, right? It only reveal whatever is necessary to verify or the information, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And so what that allows us to do is, and stay in compliance with the ZK Starks, is basically hide your address and the amount that was there. So it prevents hacking too. It prevents sandwich attacks because if the person doesn't know how much money you're sending, or trading or swapping, they can't sandwich attack you because they have to know how much it is. That's one of the things.
Right.
So we did that on purpose, but we've also remained in a position where, hey, look, if a court order comes down to the Wyoming entity and says, you have to tell me who this person's address is and that amount of that transaction, and it's a court order, we'll give it to them, because we can unlock it for them. It's kind of this dual multi-sig or single sig on a signature thing where when we create the address in the ZK encryption, where we can say, okay, give us that particular transaction and it will protect everybody else, right? And so nobody else's data will ever be known unless a court order comes down and says, hey, give us this information.
Right.
So, and we don't use ZK Snarks directly on AI. I think that's a waste of time, actually, personally.
Right. Good question there, Raymond. All right, so the next question here is which devices are compatible with the Genius SDK?
From iPhone 1 and forward, believe it or not. So Android devices, iPhone 1, you can use an iPhone 1 if you wanted to. They all have GPUs. It just requires something called Vulkan, and that's like iOS 13 or something like that, or Metal for them. Android requires Vulkan, and so the chipset just needs to be able to support Vulkan, which is supported on most devices that are out there. So it's been going on for a few years now. So, and then any Mac, pretty much, x86 or ARM, we support both because I have both. Linux, of course. Heck, it'll work on Raspberry Pis. And 64-bit, though, we think on Raspberry Pis because 32-bit did not support Vulkan and the Vulkan drivers.
Right,
and
guys.
then Windows, of course.
Okay, yeah. So if go to your drawers and pull out those the iPhone 1, and you start making money. You'll have it.
Can I ask a question?
Let me see. Yeah, go ahead, Maxi.
So sorry to butt in, but then I had to just step up to ask because listening and following through. I'm starting to wonder if this is one of those situations where we have to trade off speed for security. It's going to take different layers in terms of processing transactions. And on the top of my head, I'm thinking, oh, this might take a while in terms of speed. Maybe it might reduce speed because we're trying to be more secure. So I wanted you to distinguish: is this a trade-off between speed and data security in terms of protecting people using it, and how does it really boost efficiency in comparison to what is currently available in the market?
Well, so two things. We've addressed the speed issue with basically sharding. So because every single device has neighbors that they're talking to, they can all basically do the transaction. And the ZK Snarks, we've gotten it down. I believe it's less than 200 milliseconds for the ZK Snark to verify the transaction. And so and it gets verified on your phone. It gets verified, or it gets the proof gets generated on your phone, and then it sends that proof to everybody else. And the verification is less time than that. It's way less time. I think it's in the 50 milliseconds, or maybe it's in the microseconds. I don't know. We'll have to look at that. But the verification part of the proof is the least amount of your worry. But we've gotten the ability, we think, to get the proof generation down to sub 200 milliseconds.
That does some sort of clarification for me, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head how this can be everywhere.
So if you think about it, so the Mainnet protocol, we're very similar to the Mainnet protocol, actually, a little bit,
days or months or weeks, and and I see on the website.
I think Mazi, I think you're a little lagging there.
Yeah,
and you kind of skipping a little bit. Yeah, kind of in and out a bit there. So,
can you hear me now?
So Mazi, I'll tell you what, Mazi, go ahead and input your question inside the banner there, where we usually have all the questions from the community, and we'll forward that to Kenneth or into the room later. But also, guys, I encourage everyone to join the TG. Okay, like he said, that they do have a team over there that can answer your questions as well. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and take one more question. Let me go through here.
Could I ask one?
Yeah, go ahead. Whoever that is, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, you were talking about, okay, how you're going to reach developers, but on the other side, who are going to be the users of the CPI that you were going to make available, the processing power? Who are they going to be? Companies, organizations, and how are you going to reach them?
Yeah, so we've already been reaching out to them, and they really want to work with us. We have to reach them in kind of the slow fashion because it's scaling. We have to have a army of developer relations engineer that need to go in there and migrate them to our system. But in the meantime, our customers are going to be people that are playing games and people that are going to be using a chat application. And so there's already going to be a revenue stream for that. And then onboarding, for instance, the internet service provider in the Philippines is not only providing their peoples are providing the GPU, they're actually going to be using the GPU as well to do some image recognition during basketball games so they can track the ball with 4 cameras. So not only do they become our partner or their customers become our partner, but then they also become our customer for using the AI as well. And so it kind of just naturally falls out. But we've been talking to a lot of enterprise level companies, some very, very big ones, and said, hey, if you can get this done and you can prove it works, we got lots of work for you because they can't build the NVIDIA GPUs fast enough. There's like an 18-month lead time. And now actually it turned into a 2-year lead time like 6 months ago. Maybe that's getting better, but I don't know if they're going to start shutting down Taiwan for making chips and it has to come to the US. There's even going to be a bigger lead time for that. So they're all desperate to have access to the AI chats and all that. So it's we're not currently reaching out to a lot of the enterprise companies because we've got to make sure this is tested and everything works first, and because their migration path is going to take 2 to 3 months for them to migrate off of their traditional AWS servers and stuff like that. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
All right. So the next question I have here is, could you dive deep into the mechanic of the burning, and is the token ultimately deflationary?
Yeah. So the quick answer is yes, it's deflationary. So what we do is every time AI is processed, like if somebody spent $1,000 for AI processing, okay, it's turned into 900 Genius tokens for the community, and then 10,000, 100, 900 for the community, and 100 for the burn. And then after the processing happens and that 900 are used for processing, then that 100 is actually burned. And so that keeps it deflationary. Should keep it deflationary at all times, unless we start flooding the market with tokens, which we've never done.
Right. All right. There are so many other questions as well, but I think a lot of the questions probably got answered through here. But guys, I encourage you guys to go over to their TG and ask the questions over there as well. All right. I think that's it. Kenneth, I think that was a great presentation, like always. Always great to chat with you again. So it looks like right now, you guys, your main focus right now is rolling out the phase 2, and we're looking at like around next week, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Awesome. And I think phase 2 again, and that's when games can go ahead and developers can go ahead and install the SDK into the game. Is that what it is?
Yep. Yeah, they can install it into their games, test it, have it running, put out their games to people. Probably not through the App Store yet because there's a little more requirement for that, but they could put them out, like we do through Testnet, testing, test flight, or anything else for sure, or downloadable games for that matter.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Kenneth, I think this is it. Do you have anything else you want to talk to us about before we wrap this up?
No. Thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully, I didn't get too technical. I tried to not do that, but everybody that's in crypto should be a little bit technical, I hope.
Yeah, before you go, Kenneth, looking at the market right now, and this is, it's back to, I think, 94, 95 right now. What is going on? What do you think?
What?
What do you think the market? BTC is at 94K right now, 94,000.
Oh,
Since your prediction
yeah,
is almost 95% accurate, so I want to get that opinion from you.
well, so I've been in Bitcoin since 30K, so I'm a long-term holder. If you're a swing trader, I used to swing trade it and make a lot of money swing trading between Ethereum and Bitcoin, but it just took so much of my time, and it wasn't, I was making money, but it's like, look, I'd rather be curing cancer or doing something with my life. So I said, okay, I'll switch to this. But in general, I think if you're a hodler, it's one thing, and if you're a trader, it's another thing. For hodlers, just sit through it. It's going to go to 200K eventually, hopefully 2025.
Thank you for your insight. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you. Kenneth, after this, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to post over YouTube as well, and I'll send you a copy if you want. So with that, guys, thank you so much for being here. And Kenneth, thank you again. Always great chat with you. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and roll down and pick one winner. Pavan. I'm going to go ahead and pick you as a winner for listening here. I would like to give a little bit back to the community. When I open this chat room also, guys, we're going to post the TG. Okay, make sure you join the TG. If there's any question that I've missed, you guys can always do your further research and ask a question there. But for fun, we're going to just do like a random number. I'm not sure how many people are listening, but let's do 1 to 200, 5 guesses only, okay? Yeah, I mean, the project, I love the projects. I love the idea of it. I really do. I'm an investor in it. I think the project has a lot of potential. Looking at their team and their background, I really think they can pull this off. Especially they have a patent already. It's a utility patent. So I think, you put everything together, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Utilizing all the devices in the world and, to harness that computing power for AI. I mean, that's genius in this decentralized manner as well. So I do like the project. As always, AMAs are not financial advice, okay? Make sure you guys do your research accordingly. And I think that should wraps it up, guys. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.